Hello and welcome back to Real Horror Show. This is your host Samantha, joined as always by the Stormy Skies.
Hello, listeners.
Listen, this year we're probably going to be a little sporadic occasionally.
Yes,
because someone has to get her PhD.
Yeah, so. Well, also someone is getting married, so that's going to be ramping up here soon too. So we just have lives too.
Yeah, 99 days.
Oh, that's crazy, you guys. It's going to be a real horror show wedding. Part 2.
Another one.
Yeah, now we'll both be married people. Yeah. That's so cool.
Because you got married like right after we started the podcast. So.
I know, right? It's not crazy. That's so crazy. Like, oh my God, it's so crazy.
Well, that's an easy segue. Speaking of weddings.
Yeah, speaking of weddings, how about, the most exciting part for a wedding for me, Sam, is getting the invitation.
Oh, that's right. The Invitation is a 2022 American horror thriller film, not to be confused with The Other Invitation, which is about a scary dinner party, directed by Jessica M. Thompson and written by Blair Butler. The film stars Nathalie, Emmanuel, and Thomas Doherty. Inspired by the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker, the film follows a young woman following her mother's death, meets long-lost family members for the first time, only to discover the dark secrets they carry with them. This was produced by Sam Raimi as well.
Ooh, you know what? You can tell because sometimes there's like funny jokes. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is Sam Raimi jokes.
I watched this movie last week, so I might be a little hazy on the details, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too. I liked it a lot myself. I watched it I think I watched it on Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the week. And I was like, I was having a lot of fun watching it. So that was cool.
No, I wish I had seen it in theaters, but I didn't. And I think I went into this a bit on the mini show.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on the TikTok agree that the reason this movie didn't do well is that the advertising was directed towards fans of the movie Ready or Not, which is a mistake because I thought it was just going to be kind of a lesser version of that. Like, this movie was successful, and that happens a lot, like with Armageddon and Deep Impact. 2 movie studios have the same idea and they rush to get it out.
Yeah.
Only The Invitation came out 2 years later, 2.5 years later. I don't know. Time's a blur.
Yes, it is a blur. And there's so many movies that I'm like, oh, it's like an avalanche of movies. I'm overwhelmed all the time.
This movie is nothing like Ready or Not, which is kind of an action horror, really fun movie. This is definitely like for the gothic romantic girls.
It's super good. I have not seen yet the other one, but this is like, even without seeing it, I know it's not the same type of a thing at all.
Mm-hmm. Like, they should have advertised this to the Twilight fans.
Yeah, just like I don't know why they should have like went all in to say like, this is not a wedding movie, it's a vampire movie.
I think mainstream studios 10 years later are still scared of using vampires in their advertising because of how huge Twilight was.
It was just so big that people they're just scared. You're right.
Because even in like the YA fiction genre, like when Twilight was at its peak, I remember Barnes and Noble very specifically had a teen YA fiction section and then supernatural teen YA fiction because the impact of Twilight was so fucking big.
So big.
And now that the Twilight is currently in a renaissance, which is why I think if they had advertised this movie to the Twilight fandom, it would have done amazing.
Flocked to theaters, seriously.
But like, it's so hard to find like supernatural young adult vampire novels, and authors will say, I'm interested in writing this, but I'm scared of the Twilight comparisons.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that regarding comparisons, because I think honestly that this movie did well to kind of avoid those comparisons a lot. So
it was a very traditional vampire.
It was very traditional. I love that. It's been a while since I've watched a new vampire movie, so it's very refreshing. I mean, we are watching like the vampire show, but like that gets like you kind of forget they're vampires after a while. It's just like people
they forget they're vampires after a
they
while.
they do. They haven't eaten anybody. So.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But yeah, let's go ahead and break this down into acting. It stars Nathalie Emmanuel as Evie. Right, yes. Evie. Yep. For some reason I was thinking it was Alex, but it's a shorter name. It's a longer name made a shorter name. Evelyn Evie Jackson. It stars her. I almost started going into the plot. And I thought she was phenomenal. I like her a lot.
Yeah, honestly. I only ever saw her in Game of Thrones. And
that's where I recognize her. Yeah. She was what's her face?
She's like the handmaiden of the
Daenerys.
Yes, yeah.
Got her head cut off.
She was like naked too at one point in the show. And I always remember that. I was like, oh yeah, she like already got naked, so like she's a very brave actress and she like does not give a fuck. But
yeah, she had that sex scene with the
guy with no pee-pee.
Yeah, the eunuch.
No pee-pee or no balls? I don't know. Both. I don't know. Yes, Grey Worm. So anyway, is she British? She has to be British.
She has to be. If she was casting Game of Thrones, that's a predominantly British cast.
Yeah. So. I love when they do so well at suppressing their accent. So she is like ×2 phenomenal. And it was so cool to see her like completely in a different role. And she was really funny and fun and like very like she had like jokes that were very like new and fresh, and it was pretty cool.
I thought she was a very realistic character.
Yeah, that's what I mean, realistic. Yeah.
I liked the setup. It didn't feel too ham-fisted that she's sad. She wants to do this thing because she recently experienced a tragedy, because it wasn't like hammered into us like a lot of other movies do to make us feel bad for the characters.
Yeah.
We just get the hint that her mother recently passed away, so she's feeling particularly lonely without any other family members. So she does this DNA test that she got for free after catering at an event.
Yeah.
And that connects her with her white side of the family, the British side of the family.
Yeah, her cousin.
And before we get too far into England, I really liked her best friend too.
Oh yeah, me too.
I liked how the best friend was a character throughout the movie, even though she wasn't physically always in the movie.
Yeah, like through phone calls and texting and things like that. She always had like her BFF. So.
And I think that really helped add to the realisticness of this character is she's calling her best friend to keep updating her on everything.
Right. And also the texting. So I'm glad they actually incorporated that. I feel like that could be left out a lot when we're talking supernatural movies, but like she was able to have this very modern like connection throughout the movie via like the technology. And so I thought it was really refreshing.
And then we find out at the end just how ride or die her best friend is.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
I know. That was awesome.
So she the other main character is the Lord of the Manor, hosting the wedding for her family, her estranged family. So she's like, let's go because my cousin who I just met is paying for this trip. And she meets the super hot Lord after the butler is very rude to her, thinking she's one of the maids.
The butler has been in a lot of stuff lately. He plays Alfred in the show Gotham, where Batman's just a kid.
Ooh.
And so he's like coming up. This guy's he's in like the new season of You. I know you haven't watched it yet, Sam, but you'll see him as a character in that as well.
Yeah, I will finally watch the new season of You next
week.
Next week is when the second half comes out.
Yeah.
And they've already spoiled, because I think part 1 wasn't doing as well as they wanted to. They've spoiled that Love is returning in some way.
Yeah, she was in the you know how like at the end of the thing they'll do like a coming up soon thing. There is like a flash of her in that, so I was like, oh, I guess Love's not dead. Haha, we all knew that. Ha. So
she's either a hallucination, or I've theorized since the end of last season she didn't die because we never actually saw her corpse.
That's what I'm thinking too. It's quite I'm sure we're right too about that.
Like,
she's not dead.
Usually when they want to solidify that someone is dead, they'll show the body, or like what they did with Beck when they showed them finding the body behind her therapist's house.
Yeah. I have to I forget.
The last thing we saw of Love was her passed out on the kitchen floor from whatever poison she had. But other people online have pointed out that if she's been using this for so long, don't we think she would also have an antidote for herself?
Yeah, like in her pocket. Yeah, but what about an antidote for like a house fire? I don't know. Just kidding. But seriously, she's definitely not dead. Obviously. Why the fuck would we have a new season? This is all so stupid and silly. This dumb shit where he's in like London or whatever. But I just can't wait for you to watch it, Sam, so we can like really
get into it.
Shit on that.
Yeah, I've heard not a lot of positive things about this new season.
They're just being some silly gooses, but you'll understand when you see the first. It's still entertaining, of course, to watch, but it's like hard to not watch. It's very like hypnotic in a bad way, but whatever. Anyways, speaking of you, listeners are wondering about the other characters. The Lord, I really thought that was like her cousin for a second too. I thought they were all family, and I was like, isn't that her cousin too? But
she clarified that it is not her cousin before she pursued him.
Yeah, she really was like, I'm not related to him, right? I was like, that's actually hilarious.
I mean, in English nobility, that's not,
they're all related, dude.
That's not necessarily frowned upon, but he was extremely charming. I liked him a lot.
Dude, I really thought he was super attractive. I don't know why. It came out of nowhere, but like the more I saw him, I was like, I actually think he looks really good.
And I think he was just like so charming, and he really did a good job being what a male vampire is supposed to be when he's trying to lure in his new mate. Spoiler alert, he's the vampire.
This whole time, I really didn't know it was like a Dracula thing. But yeah, we'll get into that too.
Like
which was also fine with me. I don't care. It's cool.
The build-up was so good. The other two prominent players, I would say, are the maids of honor for the wedding.
Yeah.
Who are kind of mysterious. One is a dark, tall, mysterious woman.
She's from Mr. Robot.
I never watched Mr. Robot.
Ah, damn. She's she's not Swedish. But she can speak Swedish. And she's like multilingual or whatever, bilingual.
Yes, bilingual.
But she's like, she looks interesting in this movie, but like she's very, very, very pretty in Mr.
I thought
Robot.
she was very pretty. She's
and then she's very intimidating looking.
Yeah, intimidating, that's the word I was looking for. And then
scary.
The other maid of honor is small and bubbly and
like
blonde.
A child.
Yeah. So very good dueling personalities there with the other brides of not Dracula.
She's Danish. She's a Danish actress. But yeah, the other girl's very, very cute.
Were there other players? I guess there were the maids who all
the cousin
served to die.
Yeah, and then like the butler.
Yeah, I think that covers it all.
It's basically it. That's basically it.
So yeah, story-wise, Evie is sad and lonely. She has no family, so she decides to take a DNA test to see if there's anyone else out there. She finds out she's from this prestigious family in England, and her lineage is actually part of the family drama, as I guess her great grandmother had an affair with a black footman, so that's why she's biracial.
Does that mean that all these people are like her step cousins or something, or like half cousins?
Like half cousins.
Okay, cool.
So not fully related, but
still related.
It's super exciting for the family to find a long lost cousin, particularly a female cousin.
Yeah, they are super stoked.
So stoked that her cousin pays for her flight to England to attend a wedding.
A wedding.
And she gets to the manor where she meets the jackass butler and where she meets the super charming lord of the manor.
Yes, I forget his name again too.
Probably John. DeVille. He's only
Walter.
Listed.
It's Walt.
Oh,
Walter DeVille.
See, on
his name, the actor's name is Tom.
Yeah, the Wikipedia credits him as DeVille, which is the other name for Dracula. So I guess he is actually supposed to be Dracula.
He's 27.
Oh, that's so young. I would have thought he was in his 30s.
Fuck? Yeah, he's 27 and he's Scottish.
He's got an older face.
I know.
Oh, I forgot the other major player, the personal maid to Evie, the sweet old lady.
The old lady, I forgot about her. Oops.
Yeah. Who is apprehensive about everything going on in the castle, and she's doing her best to protect the lady and make sure she understands the rules of the house.
They probably made him look older because he's a vampire.
Yeah. Anyway. Evie notices there are some unsettling things about the manor, but she's distracted by how hot the Lord is. He gives her a beautiful dress to wear to the evening's dance, where he, as the Lord, asks her to do the first dance with him, and that's where she meets the maids of honor, who are like both apprehensive to meet her and excited to meet her. But this is where we, the audience, notice shit is weird, because we see the maids of honor, but the bride and the groom haven't shown up yet.
Yeah, and Evie's like, where are the bride and groom? And there was like, ha ha ha, I don't know. Let's just go get out of here.
Yeah, so she goes to the library, flirts with the Lord. They make out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
fireworks happen for real. There's like fireworks outside.
Yeah. And then she has a scary moment in her bedroom where not a vampire, but a shadow monster, maybe a vampire, spooks her. The Lord conveniently hears her screams.
And he's like, ooh, would you like me to lay in bed with you until you fall asleep to comfort you? And she's like, yeah. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And
he's wearing a slutty little wife beater. I'm sorry, I know we're canceling the term wife beater, but ribbed tank top just doesn't have
a man's tank top.
Yeah. A slutty little man's tank top.
With the ribs.
Yeah.
Why is it called that?
A wife beater? For very problematic reasons, and that's why we're canceling the term.
Just wife beaters wearing the tank top because they're sweaty.
Yeah, it was commonly associated with like lower class people, and I think Italians who would beat their wives. So that's why we call it a wife beater. And
I'm so sorry.
We've just accepted this term in our vernacular.
Listen, the man's tank top is what I will always call it. A man's little tank top. Tankini.
So anyway, the next morning, the maids of honor come and say, we're having a spa day. Don't bring your cell phone. And they're getting their nails done, talking about like the family history and stuff. And Victoria, the sultry older white bridesmaid, is naked, and the manicurist nicks a cuticle. And
she's naked, Sam, but she's swimming in a pool, you guys. She's not just standing there.
Well, not yet, but once the cuticle is nicked, she is then standing there naked and licks the blood off the finger.
Yeah, she really does come up to her like all naked. But but there is no nudity in the movie, you guys. It's all it's like alluded to that she's naked, but then she like licks her finger and she's like, ew, that's disgusting, you fucking freak. She runs the one's way.
A very appropriate reaction.
I agree.
She's upset, wants to leave because naturally that freaked her out, but Walter convinces her to stay and they bang.
Yeah, they really do. And I'm just like, girl, you've known him for like one day.
Yeah, but he's super sexy.
But I guess it's whatever. Yeah, he's super sexy.
They talk more about, it's the night of the rehearsal dinner, and she's like, I can't wait to meet the bride and groom. And he's like, yeah, why don't we also get married, have a double wedding, because this connection is just so real between the two of us. And she says yes,
like, but she
iterates, I'm joking. You're aware I'm joking, right?
But he's like, ha ha ha, bye.
And she goes down to dinner in like the most beautiful fucking gown. This
the red dress. Oh
yeah, gorgeous blood red dress
with beautiful feathers. It's really beautiful, and she looks great.
She joins him for dinner. He announces that they're getting married because he's getting married because these three families have given him two previous brides. From two of the other families have given him the first two brides, and this is when we're finding out that they're vampires, because a few minutes earlier they just killed a maid in front of her.
Yes,
that's kind of important, is they slit a maid's throat.
Yes, they did, and now they're draining her blood into like a big goblet.
Yeah. And he's explaining all the lore of the family and how the Alexanders, I think that's the family name.
Yes, Alexander.
The Alexanders hadn't been able to give him a bride because her great grandmother was the bride, and she had an affair, had another baby, and then killed herself. Because she didn't want to be his wife. She didn't want to be made a vampire.
Well, was she already a vampire?
I don't think so, because she just kind of hung herself. It was like the night of their wedding that she killed herself.
So it was really like that long ago. Okay, I wasn't sure if she had already been a vampire for a long time and then wanted to die, or it was really long ago. Okay.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the movie we see that happen, and she says it ends here.
Yes.
And she's in her wedding dress, so
she is. Okay, that makes sense. It was just
And
I got a little confused.
So she's taken down to the dungeon where her future sister wives are telling her, no, it's fine. It's not all that bad. You can still go out in the sunlight.
This part's very awkward. I thought the scene was very awkward.
Well, yeah, I'm sure anyone who's about to get sister wives would feel it's a very awkward moment where they're convincing you, no, this is a really good thing that's about to happen to you.
I thought it was weird that they put her in like the coffin. Overnight.
Well, that's just a little vampire humor.
I guess so. Yeah, but I guess because they still have to do the wedding the next day. So I guess I just was also more confused.
Yeah, they don't want her to escape, but the little old lady, her maid, comes out and says, your great grandmother was one of my best friends, and she didn't want this, and she wouldn't want it for you either. And she helps her escape. Unfortunately, that does get the little old lady murdered.
Yeah, but she said, that's okay. Yeah, I'm ready to die.
Yeah, she knew the risk.
Yeah, she did. It is vampire. Well, actually, not everyone is a vampire, but like the vampires are like pretty powerful, so they're after her.
Yeah. Everybody's super chill about it. She makes it to the village. A couple seemingly tries to help her, gives her a cup of tea, say they're going to call someone. Plot twist, they're calling the vampires because everybody in the village is aware of the vampires, and they probably reap some benefits from the vampires ruling over them.
Well, plot twist also, they're the Harkers. Like Mina Harker and Jonathan Harker from Dracula. So I was like, oh, is this like a thing? I thought it was like a thing that they just did for fun because it was vampires, but then like later I discovered that it was on purpose.
Oh my god, this is such a good vampire movie.
I know, yeah. It just like start all the twists and turns, just like boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
There were so many good little nods.
I know.
So she's taken back to the castle, and the wedding commences. In the dungeon, Victoria let it slip that when she consumes his blood, she'll gain the strength of 500 men. So she consumes his blood, and that's when which makes her super powerful. So she's able to make her escape again, where she fights Victoria, and then the other one, the little bubbly one, she comes and helps Evie because she's also just tired of the shit, you can tell. She's over it, and she stakes Victoria as well as suicide stakes herself.
Yeah, on like a metal thing, which is pretty cool. And then Evie like tears shit up in the other room and everyone gets scared and runs away, and she sets fire to the dungeon and all this cool shit because she's got the strength of 500 vampire men or whatever, and it's very cool. And then she does stake. Oh, we do discover that the dude is Dracula, like that's his name. He discusses where he's from. And once he said he was from Wallachia, I was like, oh my God, that's Dracula. So
on Wikipedia, he's credited not as Walter, but as Deville, which is another name for Count Dracula.
Devil.
Yeah, Deville. But it's spelled Deville, like D-E space V-I.
Like Cruella Deville.
Yeah.
Right? And like, so he's Dracula, but then they do stake him and she thinks he's dead, but the other brides say like that was just a flesh wound, he's not dead yet because he's so powerful. So then they have their face off. What happens then? Do you have how does she get him?
She breaks free of his wrist, severing his wrist with a cut wire, and kicks him into the flames as he burns alive. She loses her powers due to his death and reverts into a human form. Evie escapes the manor as it's engulfed in flames.
You know what? All that was actually a very, very clever way to do stuff, because I feel like in other vampire movies, people try to get rid of, like, kill a vampire, but then like they're sacrificing themselves because they're a vampire now. But she got lucky because that was like the one loophole moment where she got his arm with the garrote and caught fire. That's the only way to kill a vampire. He was already weak. And then luckily for her, since he's her maker, he didn't consume her blood. So she just went back to being a human. So like it was a great process. It was very, very well thought through. Oh yeah. That was a good one.
If only the vampires in the originals would think this way to kill Klaus.
Good God. Oh, I can't wait to tell you how bored I am right now in season 4.
Oh,
if you thought season 3 was boring, dude, season 4 is really boring. I'm sorry, it just really is. I can't help it.
So anyway, it doesn't end there. 2 weeks later, we see Evie and her best friend tracking down Oliver, the cousin that brought her to England in the first place. He's getting ready to flee after everything. And they're like, all right, let's go beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he was trying to tell some people on the phone that she's like still alive and like they gotta go look for her and all that stuff, but not on their watch.
We see him go into his office building, and then they go in after him, and Evie, not Evie, her best friend Grace has a baseball bat ready to
beat on him.
Yeah.
Kill him.
That's the plot. I really like it, and
it was
going
good.
into it more, realizing how much thought they put into this Dracula story. It's not just a vampire story; it is a Dracula story. It's so
Three
good.
brides, yeah,
and it's a really nice twist because, you know, Dracula always has 3 brides.
Yeah,
I really like the idea of the third bride fighting back and not wanting to join him.
Right. I also like the fact that they kind of like moved him to a different place. He's not in Transylvania. He's in a beautiful mansion in like England, and he's a modern man and stuff.
Yeah,
so
which I won't say is necessarily canonical to Bram Stoker's.
Yeah.
But it is canonical to, at least in Castlevania, the video game series and Netflix show, that when he's not in Wallachia, he does have a home in England he hides in.
Oh, cool. So of course he would have multiple estates.
Yeah. And that's where the Netflix series ends, is him coming back to life and seeking refuge at his second home in England.
Oh, okay.
So that is kind of canonical to just growing Dracula lore.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Castlevania series is pretty faithful to Dracula lore.
Is it like, it's animated, right?
Yeah.
Fuck. Or do you think they'll ever do like live action?
What?
Sam, you think they'll do live action?
No, just watch the animated show. Just watch the animated show.
I feel like a baby goo goo gaga. Watch the animated.
How are you going to feel like a baby goo goo gaga? It is so violent. It is one of the most violent shows you will ever watch.
It's not right. Yeah, I don't know.
Stop being a goo goo gaga baby and watch the animated show.
Okay. Dude, maybe we should do that after we finish the legacies, dude. Keep the vampire shit going.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Listen, that's the only way I will watch it, Sam. So you know that to be true.
Yeah. Okay. Fine, we'll watch it after the legacies.
Fine, deal. Anyway.
I've been wanting to rewatch it anyway.
Yeah, good. Well, perfect. So anyway, and also regarding Dracula, it's really like think back when the last time I've seen a movie about Dracula, it was Dracula with the Gary Oldman and stuff, you know, or Van Helsing with the Dracula guy. So that's like how long it's been before someone infused that. But like, guys, let's keep it going. Like it's never gonna get boring. You could like change it up. So it was fresh and new, and it worked out. You don't have to do Twilight vampires. You can do Dracula again if you want to, if you need help.
Everyone fucking loves Dracula.
Everybody loves Dracula. If he's super hot, that's great. Nobody will be bored. Okay.
Never.
It's a vampire. He's very sexy and seductive. They drank blood. It was just great. That's fine by me. So that was great. So is that the whole plot? So moving on to production. How did you
I thought this movie looked gorgeous.
Good. Yeah.
The director, Jessica Thompson, did an amazing job creating an eerie gothic atmosphere. That's also
it was a woman director. How cool.
Yeah. And it was also very romantic.
It was actually.
Which I think is a very forgotten part of gothic aesthetic, is the romanticism of it.
Yeah, and also like vampires are very romantic. Everyone just thinks they're just scary monsters, but like no.
Yeah, like going into some Anne Rice vampire lore, like her vampires, I think she
irresistible.
Yeah, I think she said that she views her vampires as kind of asexual, but also open to anything. They're more interested in like the intimacy, not necessarily the sex. So they're always presented as very romantic creatures.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole Castlevania lore begins with Dracula falling in love with a human woman.
Oh, yes. That's really romantic. But that's just like Dracula. Yeah. And he wants to make her his vampire bride forever.
Yeah, because they live forever.
Sweet. Yeah, which is also very romantic because you can live with your loved one forever. I mean, geez.
Which, speaking of living forever, every time I continue to learn more about Stephenie Meyer's thought process with the Twilight vampires. Yeah. And that just seems like an absolutely miserable existence.
Miserable.
Because, you know, with the Vampire Diaries, the vampires can still enjoy alcohol, they still sleep, they still enjoy food.
They like do all, it's like they're like humans too still.
Yeah. They're not made of stone practically. Right. So they're able to plow when they want. Meanwhile, the Twilight vampires, they can eat, but it doesn't taste good, so they don't like it. They don't sleep, they don't breathe. Like it just sounds miserable.
It does. They're like, nothing tastes good, but like if I smell blood, I become like a coke fiend.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Like it's crazy that Twilight is a super famous romance series, yet they are the least romantic vampires in the vampire.
They're just so miserable.
Yeah.
And like annoyed and tired.
Yeah.
They're just tired.
I found out that apparently hair doesn't grow back, like vampire hair doesn't grow back in the Twilight universe.
Really?
So yeah, one of the Twilight I'll call her a historian. I don't know if she wants to be referred to as a Twilight historian. Her theory is that the Cullens just said fuck it and shaved their heads and they just all wear wigs. Which is why their hair has changed throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But anyway, this movie was absolutely gorgeous. They did a great job with an eerie setting, with the music, the color scheme.
Yeah, they were able to do the lightness and then move quickly into the darkness
Mhm.
whenever it was time for them to have their rehearsal dinner, because like it went from like beautiful and like upbeat and modern, and then whenever it was time for the rehearsal dinner, the like dining table had like all those like muted dark like colors that looked almost
Mhm.
dingy and like creepy, you know what I mean? And so that was a really interesting turn. When they had the creepy shadow creature, that was also very interesting and well done. um because where it popped up, they made like the creepy library creepy. Like the manor was modern, but also it had the creepy aspects of like being a really, really old place, ancient place. So they did well with that balance of that.
Mhm. And like just the juxtaposition, like we get the scares pretty early in the movie. Like it starts getting hinted at like within 10 minutes of her getting to England with the first sacrifice of the maid. Like that scene juxtaposed to not the rehearsal dinner, but the night before, the little
Mhm.
dance, and
Yeah.
how warm and romantic that dance felt versus how cold and scary the killing scenes were.
I really thought that it was they were doing like sacrifices or something, because
Hmm.
I like didn't put two and two together for the longest time about the vampires, because you really
Hmm.
don't know what's up, but you know something is off.
Oh, and then just the super
Yeah.
small details with like the vampires' disregard to human life, how the maids are numbered and they don't
Yeah.
take the time to learn their names. They just refer to them by the number on their collars.
Yeah.
Like that is such a good little detail.
Yeah, because they're just some food
Yeah.
at the end of the
I
day.
I really like this movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. And
Just enough blood.
I wish it had done better and I'm part of the problem and I'm sorry.
I wish that it was longer a little
Mhm.
bit, honestly, because that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Cool to have a little bit more stuff going on. But yeah, despite the fact that it was like a quick movie, it was really good from start to finish. I mean, I liked it a lot.
Hmm.
And I didn't even know. I really like. I think I knew it was vampires, but as we're watching it, I was like, is it haunted? Is the house haunted? Is there a demon? Like, what's going
Hmm.
on? Is it a cult? But I was like, oh shit, it's Dracula. In fact,
Yeah.
so that was really cool too. It was a great
Yeah.
surprise.
I like how this was a fairly traditional vampire movie with a twist where instead of getting a Van Helsing type character, it's the final my voice cracked. The final bride
Final
fighting
bride,
back,
dude. Yeah.
resisting his urge. I liked how real the character felt. I like how she had a best friend who she didn't just drop the second she got to England. She was calling her every night.
Right.
Um, and you know, if she stopped calling her best friend, the best friend would have gotten on a plane in a heartbeat.
Right. Or like I was actually half expecting like the police to be somewhere
Hmm.
after she like didn't answer for like the night or something.
Yeah.
I was like, she's gonna call the cops. Which is fine. But yeah, I thought it was very well done. It was a very fun movie, and it's really worth a watch, you guys. It's on Netflix. If you love vampires, it's a nice one. It's a nice
Hmm.
little gem.
It is.
And
So
it was
yeah, I'll
in
give it a
theaters.
huh?
It was in theaters, you said.
Yeah, I think it was in
Oh
theaters
man.
in December.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah. Nice.
So
It's a good movie.
I give it an oh yeah, that fucked me up.
Yeah, same. Oh yeah, that fucked me up because whenever they were like, I am like he's like, I am Dracula. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like,
He's a vampire,
nice.
but he's the
He's the
vampire.
vampire.
Like even if they didn't outright say he was Dracula, you could probably make the conclusion that he is Dracula because of the three brides
Three
and
brides.
coming from Wallachia
Yeah, once
and
he
all
said all that stuff, and I was like, oh my god,
and
it's
all the other subtle
Dracula.
nods to the original novel.
I mean, listen, once he said he was Dracula, I was like more excited. And I was like,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay,
Oh
cool.
wait, the
Got me
butler
down.
was named Renfield. I missed that.
Oh, say Redfield. I totally missed that too. I don't remember them saying that. Do I?
They might not have, but it's listed here on Wikipedia, so
Oh,
that's super cool. So
yeah, Redfield. You know what? And even if they did say it, I probably heard him was like, oh, okay. It just went right over my head. You know? Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Realistic aspects, taking a
Mm.
DNA test and meeting a distant relative only for them to be terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I would say, yeah, meeting a new relative who's like super interested in like meeting you like as soon as possible. I'd be like weird. I'd be like, whoa. But they really were related. Whenever they met, I was like, is he really related? Um, I have like a couple theories about the DNA testing stuff. And I was thinking that Dracula
That the
owned it
family
or
was behind
something.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. To find, someone that he can marry in that
Yeah.
bloodline, and they did it.
I
So
thought
that
that
was
too.
yeah, absolutely. That had to be it. So I thought that was very cool. And at first I thought that might not be her relation. It might be like just like kidnapping a girl or like something like that, but they did end up being related, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Other realistic aspects would be uh um well, I don't know.
I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, just like
Especially with
doing the DNA test
because
and
DNA tests are so popular right now.
oh,
I did
yeah.
one, you did one.
Yeah, I still get emails from ancestry DNA that says like we found like a match or whatever. I don't even look like because there's no like profile pictures half the time. So I'm like, whatever. Like this is your fifth cousin. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna go out of my way to try to find people. My family is big enough as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just did it to look at my percentages of my region,
Mm-hmm.
my regions.
To find out just how white
Just
you
how
are.
white am I really? You know what I mean? So very is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's mostly, I feel like a lot of people sometimes do it for those reasons. But then, oh, here's a good realistic aspect, Sam. Would be like doing it for like fun, but then like finding out like you're related to people or like you're not related to people. Or like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, your parent had an illicit affair and your dad's not really your dad or your mom's not really your mom. You know what I mean? So like that is yeah, that. Which kind of happened in the movie a little bit in a way because of the affair. Yeah. But that can really destroy someone's life. So use it at your own caution. Use it with caution.
I mean, they've had to put out that statement now is to use
Really?
these DNA kits with your own caution.
Yeah, like
they've
with
had
discretion.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like you don't know
you
what you're
might
gonna
not like
find.
the results.
Yeah, like you don't know what people have buried for like decades that now you can just uncover if two people happen to do ancestry DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the thing is like you have to have done it too. And so you may not find anything,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have done it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that is all I have this week.
Yeah. Me too, dude.
Go watch this movie. It's female written, female directed,
and
a very
starring
good,
a wonderful lead.
Yeah, a very good Dracula movie.
Oh yeah, and a Dracula movie. Yeah. Really, really good stuff. And I liked it a lot. Now I kind of want to watch the other one called The Invitation,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ready or Not movie, so I can kind of see the differences and stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, anyway, that's all I have. I give it an eye that fucked me up. We already graded it, so watch it, you guys.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, you ready for the outro, Sam?
I sure am.
Right on. Let's wrap it up. So, Real Horror Show was created by Sam Odie and Stormy Skies and is directed by Sam Odie. And today I just want to let everyone know that I still haven't updated the outro. So it's going to be the same as it was last time. I'm sorry. I mean, okay. But what did we learn today, Sam? Did we learn anything new?
Don't trust the cousin you just met.
Yeah. Do you think he was like kind of gay? Or did you get that vibe?
He might have been, but that's not the reason you shouldn't trust him.
No, that's not, yeah, it's not like that. But like, I was like, maybe he's like a gay guy, but that's why he was so fun and funny. But yeah, don't trust him because he could be just trying to recruit you to be the bride of Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
You never
I
really
hate when
know.
that happens.
I know, when you think you're going to someone else's wedding, but it happens to be your own wedding. Oops.
Yep.
So funny. Anyway, like what you hear, you can find Real Horror Show on Spotify, TuneIn, Google Play Store, Stitcher, iTunes, and Pandora. Really, really like what you hear? Follow us on Twitter at Horror Show Pod, or search for Real Horror Show on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook at Real Horror Show. Like our page and share our stuff. We also have a website, and we have an Instagram too. Okay, you guys, I really don't know why I still haven't written that down, but we're mostly on Instagram, and we have a TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay. But also our website, it's realhorrorshow.com. So it's quite simple. Okay. Moving on. Want to interact with us? Want to make sure we're real humans and not space vampires? You can comment on our website, or you can email us. Please email us. That would be cool. We can answer some questions or just like comments or whatever. So our email is realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, if you have a question about whatever, we would love to answer it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool. Want to argue with us? Want to make sure... want to argue with us about something you think you have a really great horror movie review that you're dying to share with two random strangers from the internet? I'm sorry, I can't see really well. My eyes are not what they used to be. Submissions are open for movie reviews. They always are, and they always will be. So we have a submit page on our website. There's a rubric there you can follow. Follow the rules before sending us anything. If you don't follow the rubric, it will be disregarded. Sorry, not sorry. So if anybody wants to do that, you can do that. We love horror, and if you're listening, you do too. Please help us keep our project going by visiting our support page on our website, where you can make a one-time donation via PayPal. We also have an Amazon wish list. If you feel like buying us something tangible will help convey your love more than a monetary donation would. So also, you can find the Buy Us a Coffee button on our website. It's a button you can click that will pay us the amount you would need to buy us a coffee. A little bit goes a long way. And finally, sometimes we can't help out artists monetarily, and that's okay. By simply liking, sharing, retweeting, and even giving us an awesome review will help us out tremendously. And is there any other pertinent news to share?
Not at the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, not really. I mean, 99 days until Sam's wedding. For me, I'm still doing school. It's March now, so it's going to be, we're going to spring forward with our time soon. So daylight savings time is going to end again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. St. Patrick's Day is coming up soon. I don't know, but
Yeah.
The days are getting longer, you guys. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Our outro song is called Creepy Doll by Jonathan Colton. Thank you, fuck off, and have a swell evening. And this is Real Horror Show signing off.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I love the creepy doll.